Right, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm going to be showing you my collection, all of my plants today. I'm going to try and fit it all in one video. I think it's going to be quite long, but if you're interested, I guess you'll watch it. I'm going to start with all the plants in my bedroom around here. I'll start by this window and then I'll go over to that window, and then I've got a few plants that are downstairs as well, but what I'm going to do is, because of my family are in, I'm going to record them a little bit but do a voiceover on those parts so that I'm not standing on the landing talking to myself. So I'll flip the camera around and I'll start showing you what I've got. I'm going to go through, if I can remember prices, I'll mention prices and where I got them and how long I've had them, and I might go briefly into how I look after them or where they are, but I'm not going to go into too much detail, otherwise it will just be too long. But yeah, let's get started. Right, so here I've got my Pinguicula Tina, and this is the only Pinguicula that I keep in my bedroom. All the other ones are in the greenhouse, and this is, I got this quite recently, probably about 2 weeks ago, and it's just really big, and I kept it in my room to catch the fruit flies, or there's one there, oh, got a bit down my finger, there's one on it at the moment, but yeah, that's in my room for now. Some begonia cuttings and a philodendron cutting. Here I've got one of my big begonias, and this one, the red, as the light shines through, it's so nice. That's my favourite part. Sorry about that noise, that's my chair. Then here we've got, I'm not sure on the particular species, but I've got two cacti here. This one was from a friend when she went on holiday, she got me that. And this one I'm looking after. And over here I've got a Sansevieria. I've had that Sansevieria for about, probably coming up to a year. I got it from Tesco's for £5 or something. And it's I've kept it too dry, so it's stunted its growth, but now I've planted it in that larger container and I've been keeping on top of watering it. It's growing these new shoots down here. There's one here and one there. Oh, the begonia, I think that was £5.50. Obviously I didn't buy those. And the Pinguicula was £6, I believe. Then over here, begonia cuttings that are growing really nicely. I didn't notice in my other video, but look, they're all growing behind this leaf there. So there's none in the front. Well, there's one in the front and they're all growing in the back, so that was really cool. Obviously I didn't pay for those. I've got some peperomia cuttings here which have all rooted, and I'm just waiting for them to start showing. But I dug one up the other day. Is that one shooting? Oh yeah, there's one shooting. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll try and zoom in. You see that tiny leaf growing up there? There we are. So, oh, and that one too. Oh. Sorry for the shaky camera, but there's a tiny little leaf growing up there. Yeah, so they've taken, I did those on the same day and they've taken a lot longer than them obviously, but oh, that's cool, they're growing. And then holding on to this from a friend, the little lithops, they were £2.50. Here I've got cacti that I grew from seed, and I haven't watered them in such a long time, but I watered them the other day, well yesterday I think, and they've just started to plump up a little bit. So it'd be good to see, because I thought they were dead, to be honest. But literally that one's doubled in size since I watered it, so they're obviously just a little bit parched. So they're sitting there loving the sun. And then I'm not going to talk about the ones in the back because they need to be taken out to the garden really, because I don't want them. There's peperomia here, which I got recently, which you would have seen in my other video. I don't know if this lighting is good or bad, to be honest, but I'd say bad probably. That I paid, what did I pay for that? Was it $2.99 or $1.99? Something like that. I think it was $1.99. Not sure. I got it literally a week ago. But that's doing really well. I haven't watered it too much. I've planted it into that bigger pot obviously. But it looks really nice in that container. This lighting is terrible. I've got this bigger peperomia here which I got from B&Q for £5. And then I planted it into a terracotta pot. And that's been doing really well. I've watered that about 3 times since I've had it, and I've had it for maybe a month, and it's doing really well. I've never had them before. That was my first one, so I'm just assuming from my experience that they don't like a lot of water. and I might take some more cuttings if, well, they've all, I've only taken 4 and they've all been successful, so I'll probably take some more cuttings of those. Here I have my poor excuse of an African violet. I left it too dry, and this whole half here, you can see I had to cut all those leaves off because they just, sorry it's not focusing. Let me move it over here. I had to cut all those leaves off because it just wasn't focusing. No, I didn't cut them off because it wasn't focusing. I cut them off because they were drying out and they had died. So it's not looking very nice at the moment, but it was a bit of an impulse buy anyway. I think that was maybe $2.99, that one, so nice and cheap. In here I've got some pinguicular cuttings. I won't open that up, but yeah, they're doing fine. That's of the Tina, so they're like the big leaves. And right, moving down, here we have another begonia, a nice big red one. This was £6.50, same price as that one. I haven't propagated this one yet, but I would like to, because the leaves, you can't really see very well, but they've got this lovely like reddy glossy tone. They're really nice. And that just stays under my desk because the light comes through under there as well. Oh, this phone is not focusing today. I think that's a cordyline. Then we have a terrarium here, which I'll try and lift up and show you guys. Let me just pull it up and set it up. Right, so you can't really see inside the terrarium, but there's just like a little fan, one of those. I'm not sure, I don't know the name of that plant. I'm sure I've read it 10 times, but I don't know the name of that. And then there's a lot of moss in here and like some wood. But let me try and see if you can, oh, here we are. Like, there's a gap in the glass and there's so many little fruit flies in there, or like fungus gnats. But that's why I'm not opening it, because it is like absolutely infested with them. So it's like a little tiny ecosystem. But yeah, not gonna open that, but that's that. So moving on, we've got this little euphorbia here, which I planted in this container that I bought the other day. If you've seen my video, you'd see where I got that from. The euphorbia was 99p, the little container was $4.99. So, and I just think that looks really cute there. It sits next to my computer, or on my computer desk. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep it there because it gets no direct light. So I'll probably move it every now and again so that it gets a bit more sunlight. Because this is a south-facing window, and as you can see, it gets really sunny during the day when we have sun. But obviously, being in like east of England, we don't really get too much. We get a lot of clouds. But yeah, moving on. Right, down here on my desk shelf, I have 2 little terrariums. So this one has just moss and a fern. I can open these ones because they don't have gnats in them. But as you can see, it's like grown all the way to the top. Let me actually put it up here. So maybe we can give the moss a trim and that sort of thing. Needs a little bit of maintenance, but it's doing really well. And it's like self-sufficient. We never need to water it, and it just stays there with its cork on, and it does good. And then let me quickly pick up the other one. This one is not so wild. Again, just moss, a couple of stones and a fern. But this fern in here is actually going a little bit, I mean, it's getting a little bit mouldy, but down there you can see there's lots of new growth. So I mean, it's doing fine. And I'm not too worried about them being like spectacular, like specimen plants. I'm just, they look really nice, like having live plants in them. I think that looks so cool. Yeah, so they just go there. And then up here, I've got my Monstera. I got this for $9.99, and it's got some nice leaves. It's taking its time. But there's that, and then I'm just gonna change the camera angle so I can get the other plants. Right, here in the middle of my room, I've got like a long desk, well, chest of drawers. I've got on the end my philodendron, I want to say Mycons, but I might be wrong because I haven't checked the label, but I think that's what that is. And that's, I mean, it's doing alright. I took a couple of cuttings, one you saw in the pot earlier, and then there's this one here. my satin pothos there, a couple of cuttings there of that plant, and then here is my main satin pothos. Let's move around to the other side, and that's grown quite a lot since I got that. And this part here is another cutting, so there's 3 cuttings there, but the main plant is actually growing quite nicely. Bromeliad behind it, lots of mess in my room, but the bromeliad, that's doing good. It's in just a regular compost mix because I got it from IKEA, and that was, how much was that? I think that was like £6, I think. But they set off little pups when they like die, so I'm hoping it does that so I can get more plants from it. Over here we've got the Calathea, and it's just set out these 3, what is it, 3 or 4? Like 4 new leaves up here. So it seems to be enjoying where it is. That's about the most light it gets right now. So it seems to be enjoying it. Down here I've got this little peperomia here. This is the last little guy that's waiting to be potted up. How much was that? That was £1.99. But that's my like little one with variegation in it. So there's that, and then moving round to, let's go to the bedside table. Another bromeliad there that's in regular potting compost, but a lot of places just plant them in that anyway. This guy here, what was that called again? The pothos, I don't remember the name of it, but there's that. And that was that £3.99, and then I bought a nice pot for it there. This plant, which again, I don't know the name of it, but that's doing really well. My abandoned propagator over there, which will come back in use once we start getting a lot colder outside. Up here is my Hoya. I planted it and I hung it up because it fit really nicely in that spot, but I've only had that a couple of days, so I'm not really going to give you advice on how to look after it. My Ceropegia here, which I took as a cutting, and that was the 17th of the 10th of last year, and it has, sorry about the mess behind, it has almost reached the floor. So what I'm doing is waiting for these to kind of mature, for the leaves to thicken up, because they're still quite thin because they're new. I'm waiting for them to thicken up, and then I'm going to cut the whole thing back, probably to about here, and then take cuttings of all of that and then plant them all back in the top once they root, because I want like a dense, obviously, hanging plant. Right, up here I have my Nepenthes, my only Nepenthes. I did have a Bloody Mary, but I forgot to water it once or twice. This is its newest picture here, so that's the biggest one on the plant, although that does look about the same size. It's got some new leaves coming. This I water with rainwater, and it's grown so much since I got it. Let me move up to the top. So, oops, sorry. That leaf, and this one are brand new since I got it, so it's really enjoying it. Here I have a peperomia, but I've noticed the other day it's starting to get a bit of, I believe that's powdery mildew, so I'm going to need to either take that outside and sort that out or spray it. I don't want to spray it, but I might have to. So what I'm probably going to do to begin with is cut off all the parts that are affected, take it outside, leave it there for a bit and just see how it does. But that's my hanging plants on my window, and I think that's everything in my room. So I'm going to move down to my other plants in the house. Right, so this is the begonia that was in my bedroom before, that I took cuttings of, that I showed you previous, that are growing really nicely. And next to it I've got the croton, which is doing really well as well. Hasn't grown much, but potted in this nice black pot there. And this is a new phalaenopsis of my house. It's not mine personally, but it came like that and it looks really nice. Here is a little succulent, not sure of the variety, and then a mimosa here which is coming into flower. And I don't always do this, but I just thought I'd do it for the video. closes up when you like stroke it and stuff. Here's a Phalaenopsis that my oldest and the only one I own, and then next to it is just a little succulent plant, and that's that. Right, so that is my collection at the moment. I feel like I went through that really quickly, and I probably shouldn't have gone through it so quickly, but if there's any plants that you want me to do like individual videos about, or give you more information or care tips on, then obviously let me know in the comments. But that's my collection at the moment, and I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, just let me know if there's anything else you want more information on. I'll always reply to comments, so feel free to ask anything. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I do plan on putting some shelving in at the bottom of that window behind me so that I can fit some smaller plants on, because I'm running out of desk space. So and I'm looking at hanging up more, like getting some hooks on the ceiling somewhere to add more plants, but for now that is my collection, and I'm trying my hardest not to buy any more plants for a while, whether that be like a month or probably less, but I'm trying to be smart and but there is some plants, I won't go into it, but yeah, so I will keep you updated with my houseplants. I'd like to do a lot more like propagation videos, because I really do enjoy propagating my plants, like starting out with one plant and making as many plants as you can. I really enjoy that. So I'm planning on doing some more cuttings of my peperomias. Let me grab this one in particular, because the leaves on that are so nice, and I'd like to get a few more of that, because like in the back it's very bare, and in the front it's really nice, and because obviously I've successfully taken some peperomia cuttings now, I'm definitely going to try it with this, so I might do a video of that, as I didn't do a video of those ones before, so that'd be an idea coming up. And some of my other plants I'm going to try and propagate as well, so that's what you can expect for the future. But let me know if there's anything particular you do want. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.